Picture this, a world where the old financial playbooks have been torn to shreds. The rules you learned about saving. What if the very foundation of your financial security is built on sand? A silent economic revolution is already underway, reshaping everything from the value of your currency to the security of your job. This isn't a distant forecast. It's the reality millions are waking up to right now. Are you prepared to navigate this new landscape? The old game is over. It's time to learn the new rules. What if everything you've been told about building wealth is dangerously outdated? The old playbook. We're witnessing a fundamental shift in the global order, a silent transfer of wealth that most people will completely miss. This isn't about picking the next hot stock. It's about understanding the psychological and structural forces that will separate the financially resilient from the financially stranded in the coming decade. Imagine navigating the next 5 years with a completely different set of principles, ones that aren't taught in business school. We will expose the 3 biggest myths about safety and risk that are keeping you poor, and explore the unconventional assets and mental frameworks that actually thrive in uncertainty. The rules have changed. It's time you learn the new ones. Have you ever felt like the financial rule book you were handed is suddenly written in a language you no longer understand? For decades, that was the promise. But what happens when that promise begins to crack? What do you do when the old maps no longer match the new terrain? Picture this: a world where a single tweet can crater a currency, where a global pandemic can shutter entire industries overnight, and where the very concept of a stable job feels like a relic from a bygone era. This isn't a dystopian novel. This is the economic reality we're navigating right now. The ground beneath our feet has been shifting for years, accelerated by technological disruption, geopolitical realignments, and a monetary experiment on a scale never seen before. The pillars of the old system, predictable inflation, steady career ladders, and reliable pension funds, are showing significant wear. I remember speaking with a client, a brilliant software engineer in his late 40s. He had done everything right. He had a prestigious degree, a high salary, and a healthy retirement account. Yet, he confessed to me a deep, gnawing anxiety. He said, "I feel like I'm running faster and faster on a treadmill, but the finish line keeps moving further away." His savings were being quietly eroded, not by poor choices, but by forces far beyond his control, negative real interest rates and a cost of living that was outpacing his gains. His story is not unique. It's a silent epidemic of financial vertigo affecting millions who played by the rules, only to find the rules had changed. This is the chasm between the industrial age financial plan and the digital age reality. We're trying to solve 21st century problems with 20th century tools, and it's creating a profound sense of powerlessness. The old model was built on scarcity and slow, linear growth. The new economy, however, is defined by abundance of information, exponential technological change, and non-linear opportunities. The central bank isn't the only printer of money anymore. Code is. Your network is becoming as valuable as your net worth. Your ability to learn and adapt is your new currency. Another angle. This is the context for a new set of rules. Quick thought. This is the birth of what I call Niv Money, a philosophy of wealth that isn't about accumulating more of what's being devalued, but about understanding and leveraging the new sources of value. It starts with a single, powerful shift, from being a passive saver in a system you don't control to becoming an active architect of your own financial sovereignty. The game has changed. It's time we learned how to play. The first time I saw Niv, he was standing in front of a whiteboard covered in red and green arrows, explaining to a room of maybe 20 people why the old financial playbook was a trap. He wasn't yelling. "They tell you to get a good job, save 10% and diversify," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "But what they don't tell you is that the entire system is designed for you to be a passenger, not a pilot. You're following a map for a world that no longer exists." This was the core of the conflict, the central fracture in my own understanding. For years, I'd been the model passenger. I had the degree, the 401k, the diversified portfolio. I was doing everything right, according to the old rules. Yet a quiet dread had been growing. Why did it feel like I was running on a treadmill, faster and faster, but the finish line kept moving further away? Niv's words weren't just an opinion. They felt like a diagnosis for a sickness I hadn't even known I had. He turned and pointed at a massive, swooping red arrow labeled Legacy Systems. This is the path of compliance. It feels safe. It's paved with the promises of pensions and social security that are mathematically unsustainable. You're trading your time for a currency that is being systematically devalued, all while being told that slow and steady wins the race. He paused, letting the silence hang in the air. But what if the race itself is rigged? What if the track is crumbling beneath your feet? I looked around the room. I saw a woman in her 50s nervously clutching her purse. A young couple, their hands intertwined, leaning forward as if trying to catch every syllable. We were all there for the same reason, a deep, unsettling feeling that the foundation we were building our lives upon was made of sand. The conflict wasn't just with the external economy, it was the internal war between the comfort of the known and the terrifying possibility that everything we'd been taught was wrong. Niv then introduced the antagonist, and it wasn't a person or a company, it was a concept: velocity. The new economy isn't about hoarding static assets and waiting 40 years, he explained. It's about the speed and intelligence of your capital. It's about creating and capturing value in flows, not just in piles. The old world prized stability. The new world rewards agility. The conflict you feel is the friction between these two opposing forces. He shared a story about a client, a graphic designer we'll call Sarah. She had followed the old rules perfectly. She had a stable corporate job, a mortgage, and a portfolio of blue-chip stocks. She was, on paper, successful. But she was also exhausted, creatively stifled, and financially stagnant. Her safe job was being slowly eroded by outsourcing and AI. Her safe stocks were barely keeping pace with real inflation. The system she had trusted was quietly turning against her. Her conflict was a slow-burn crisis, a realization that her safety net was actually a cage. Can you feel that friction in your own life? The gnawing sense that you're playing a game whose rules were written for a different era? This is the central tension of modern wealth building. It's the gut feeling that your diligent saving is like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. The value of your labor is being diluted, while the opportunities for genuine, velocity-driven wealth feel just out of reach, locked behind a door for which you were never given the key. The data point is staggering. Adjusted for real inflation, the average wage has barely budged in decades, while the cost of living, especially for essentials like housing, healthcare, and education, has skyrocketed. You are working harder and smarter than previous generations, but the economic output of your effort is diminishing. This isn't a personal failure, it's a systemic shift. The old contract between hard work and financial security has been torn up, and we're all left holding scraps of paper that promise a future that may never arrive. Niv's final point on the conflict cut deepest. The most dangerous thing you can do right now is nothing. Choosing to ignore this tension, to stay on the crumbling path because it's familiar, is the riskiest move of all. You are in a river with a strong current. You can try to stand still, but you will only be swept backwards. The conflict is already here. The only choice you have is how you respond to it. The room was utterly silent. The battle lines were drawn not on some distant economic field, but inside the mind of every single person listening. You know, we've all been taught the same basic financial advice for decades. Save 10% of your income, diversify your investments, buy a house, work hard, and climb the corporate ladder. But what if the entire playing field has shifted so dramatically that those rules no longer guarantee security, let alone prosperity? The global economy isn't just changing incrementally, It's undergoing a fundamental restructuring that demands a completely different mindset. Consider this. For generations, the path to wealth was linear and predictable. You followed the rules, you played the game, and you could reasonably expect a certain outcome. But today, we're living in what economists call a polycrisis. Multiple interconnected systems are transforming simultaneously. We have rapid technological displacement, the breakdown of traditional career paths, currency devaluation happening in plain sight, and geopolitical realignments that make the old maps useless. Navigating this landscape requires more than just financial literacy. It demands economic adaptability. Remember when a college degree was practically a guaranteed ticket to middle-class stability? Big question. We have graduates burdened with debt while certain trade skills command six-figure incomes without the formal education. The very definition of valuable knowledge has flipped. Technical skills that were niche a decade ago are now central to economic survival, while many white-collar roles are being automated or offshored. This isn't about working harder within the old system. It's about recognizing where the new opportunities are emerging. What does this mean for your actual financial decisions? Here's a twist. We need to shift from the scarcity mindset that had us hoarding cash in savings accounts to an abundance mindset focused on acquiring assets that actually grow. Traditional savings accounts now lose purchasing power to inflation every single year. Meanwhile, digital assets, specialized knowledge, and unconventional investments are creating new wealth streams for those who understand the new rules. The key isn't just what you own, but what kinds of value you can create and capture in this new economy. Think about how you're building your personal economic moat. What unique combination of skills, networks, and assets makes you resilient regardless of what happens in the broader economy? For some people, this means developing multiple income streams rather than relying on a single employer. For others, it's about positioning themselves at the intersection of emerging technologies and human needs. The most successful people I've observed aren't just following predetermined paths, they're creating their own. Hard truth. Where it gets really interesting, the old model of delayed gratification, suffer now, enjoy later, is being replaced by strategic present-future balance. Yes, you still need to plan for the long term, but you also need to build flexibility into your current situation. The people who thrive in uncertain times are those who can pivot quickly when opportunities arise or when certain paths close. This requires maintaining liquidity, continuously learning, and building relationships across different industries and domains. One of the most powerful shifts I've noticed among those building substantial wealth today is their approach to risk. Instead of avoiding risk entirely, they've learned to distinguish between dangerous risks and calculated ones. They understand that in a rapidly changing environment, the biggest risk is often standing still while the world moves around you. They're not gambling. They're making informed bets on trends they've thoroughly researched and understood. Can you feel how different this approach is from the traditional financial advice we grew up with? It's less about following a predetermined script and more about developing the wisdom to read economic currents and position yourself accordingly. The wealthy aren't just following rules. They understand the underlying principles that create wealth in any environment. They recognize that money isn't just currency. It's a tool for creating options and freedom. This brings us to perhaps the most important mindset shift, from being a passive participant in the economy to an active architect of your financial reality. The old rules encouraged us to be good employees and diligent savers. The new reality rewards those who can identify unmet needs, create value where others see chaos, and build systems that generate wealth independently of their time. It's the difference between playing someone else's game and designing your own. Ultimately, the most valuable asset you can develop isn't in your bank account. It's between your ears. The ability to understand these economic shifts, adapt your strategy accordingly, and maintain the psychological flexibility to change course when necessary, that's the real wealth in today's world. Everything else flows from that foundational understanding. Imagine you're a designer in your late 20s, earning a decent salary, but feeling completely stuck. Every month. Rent, subscriptions, takeout, that one emergency car repair, it's gone. You're not building wealth, you're just funding your own hamster wheel. This was Maria's exact reality. She felt like she was running in place, financially speaking. A quick story. She decided to apply a single powerful filter to every single spending decision. Does this purchase expand my future options, or does it shrink them? That morning latte? It shrank her options. Putting an extra $100 into her investment account? That expanded them. Within 6 months, her savings rate jumped from 5% to over 30%. She wasn't just saving money. She was buying her future freedom. Picture this. Consider a different scenario. A couple, Mark and Sarah, both high-earning professionals. On paper, they were winning. In reality, they were drowning in lifestyle inflation. Every raise meant a nicer car, a more expensive vacation. Their net worth was embarrassingly low for their income. They were rich in income, but poor in actual wealth. Their turning point was a simple but brutal audit. They tracked every dollar spent for 3 months and categorized each expense as either an asset, something that grows in value or generates income, or a liability, something that drains resources. The results were horrifying. Over 70% of their spending was on liabilities. This single reframe forced them to consciously redirect cash flow. They started asking, how can we turn this monthly expense into an asset? Instead of just renting, they saved for a duplex to house hack. They swapped expensive vacations for investing in a rental property. They stopped buying liabilities and started building a machine that makes money while they sleep. Are you relying on a single source of income? That's the riskiest financial position in the 2020s. Think about David, a software engineer laid off at 45. His one high salary was his entire plan. When it disappeared, so did his security. His application of the new rules wasn't about cutting coupons. It was about building an income lattice. He didn't just look for another job. He started a small niche consulting firm on the side. He took a fraction of his severance and invested in a cash-flowing vending machine business. He began writing technical ebooks. Within a year, he had 5 different income streams. None were huge on their own, but together they created resilience. His layoff was no longer a catastrophe. It was an inconvenience. He had built a portfolio of earnings, not a single point of failure. Strange, but true. Look at the power of optionality through a final lens. An older investor, Linda, had always followed the old rule. Buy and hold a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. It had worked okay, but she felt passive, at the mercy of the market's whims. Her application was to allocate a small, dedicated optionality fund, just 5% of her net worth. This wasn't for gambling. It was a fund specifically reserved for seizing asymmetric opportunities, buying a discounted piece of land next to a proposed development, providing a short-term loan to a trusted business contact, investing in a new skills certification that unlocked higher income. This fund gave her the active power to pounce when life presented a rare, high-upside bet. While 95% of her money worked passively, this 5% was her strategic lever, dramatically increasing her overall returns without commensurate risk. Quick thought. She wasn't just waiting for the market to give her returns. She was actively creating them. The common thread here isn't a budget or a stock tip. It's a mindset shift. Maria shifted from spender to investor of her own capital. Mark and Sarah shifted from consumers to asset builders. David shifted from employee to entrepreneur of his own skills. Linda shifted from passive saver to active opportunity creator. Your financial path isn't predetermined by your salary or your starting point. It's defined by the mental models you choose to apply. The question is no longer, how much do I make? The real question is, what system am I building with the money I have? Picture this. We must fundamentally redefine what we consider an asset. Forget the traditional categories of stocks, bonds, and real estate for a moment. In this new paradigm, this could be a digital product with automated delivery, a micro SaaS business, or even a curated email list with monetization potential. The key is building systems that work while you sleep, creating economic resilience that isn't tied to a single geography or currency. How do you identify these opportunities? It requires a shift from passive consumption to active reconnaissance. You are no longer just a consumer of media and technology. You are an intelligence operative gathering data on emerging behavioral shifts. What new platforms are gaining traction? Where are transaction fees collapsing, creating new arbitrage possibilities? Which demographic is adopting a technology that the mainstream financial world hasn't yet priced in? Your goal is to spot the gap between a trend's cultural emergence and its financial institutionalization. Once identified, your capital deployment must be surgical, not speculative. This isn't about YOLOing into a meme stock. It's about making small, calculated bets on your highest conviction theses. Allocate a tiny percentage of your capital, perhaps 1 to 5%, to these experimental positions. The objective isn't to get rich quickly, but to gain first-hand operational knowledge. You are paying for an education in a new market. A failed bet that costs you 2% of your portfolio but teaches you an invaluable lesson about smart contracts or creator economics is a bargain. Finally, you must engineer redundancy into every financial stream you create. Relying on a single income source, whether a job or an investment, is a critical vulnerability. The goal is to construct a portfolio of uncorrelated cash flows. If your tech stocks are down, your peer-to-peer lending in a different regulatory environment should be stable. If your local currency weakens, this isn't just diversification. It's about building a multi-layered financial immune system designed to withstand shocks that would cripple a conventional portfolio. We've spent a lot of time today talking about the mechanics of money, but we could be honest. The numbers are the easy part. The real challenge is the ghost in the machine, the silent conversation you have with yourself every time you check your bank balance or consider a major purchase. That internal dialogue is where your financial future is truly forged. Isn't it strange how we can know something intellectually, yet feel something entirely different in our gut? You can have a perfectly optimized budget, yet still feel a pang of anxiety when you transfer money to savings. You can understand compound interest, yet struggle to delay gratification for a future that feels abstract. This isn't a failure of intelligence, it's a feature of being human. Our brains weren't built for a world of digital abstractions and 40-year retirement timelines. They were built for immediate threats and tangible rewards. Big question. When you find yourself wrestling with these feelings, remember this. You are not arguing with a spreadsheet. You are negotiating with a deeply ingrained survival mechanism that thinks a market dip is a predator and a sale is a ripe berry bush. The goal isn't to defeat that part of you, but to gently educate it, to reassure it that security doesn't come from hoarding every last berry, but from planting a few in fertile ground. Think of the most financially secure person you know. I'd wager their secret isn't a magic stock pick or a complex tax loophole. It's a quiet, almost boring consistency. It's a system that runs so smoothly in the background that it barely requires conscious thought. They've moved from managing their money to curating their financial life. That's the real destination, not a number, but a state of mind. The journey to that state begins with a single, powerful decision: to stop seeing money as a scoreboard and start treating it as a tool for building a life that feels authentic to you. A life where your finances don't dictate your choices, but enable them. That shift in perspective is more valuable than any investment return. It's the ultimate asset. Go build that life.